Welcome to Season 3 of the Biz Show, sponsored by Invest Choir. Discover what's next with this insightful podcast. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa.
Good morning, Barry. How are you today?
Lisa, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic because it's Friday.
Friday is our go-to days, right? We do our podcast recordings every Friday,
I know. It's like a habit or routine now.
and they
A
come out
bad habit.
Monday morning. Yeah, so cool. Well, this podcast that we have a special guest today, and this podcast kind of leads up into last week's podcast, right? Because last week's podcast we talked about what lenders and investors want to see in 2025, and today we have a special guest who is in the lending business and is going to kind of share with us, some of the things that happen, how to present themselves, so on and so forth, but also about credit repair and things like that, right?
Yeah, and her name is Noel Kachaturian, and we're so happy to have you today, Noel.
Noel,
Hello.
welcome to the show.
Hi, nice to meet you guys and happy to be here.
Nice. So tell us a little bit first, just about yourself, maybe just a 1 minute spill of who you are, where you're from, where you came from, and where you're at now.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's a I've done a lot of things in my life from acting to journalism to gosh, what else? Real estate investing, which led me into the lending space. And that's kind of my focus now is the lending and credit repair. I'm doing a few other things, but that's my focus definitely is lending and credit repair.
So you were in real estate and then you moved into the lending space. And which one do you seem to like better?
Well, real estate investing didn't go so well, so I like being on this side of it now and helping real estate investors. Helping them get funding and lending it's really it just feels good to help people get to where they need to be.
Yes,
You-
that always does. I know Lisa is
Yeah.
always having a great time with her buyers looking for homes, and when they actually sell a home and they get and I was one of them, right? I remember us going through that whole process, and the first when we got the keys, all three of us went to the house together, and Lisa was right there.
Yeah, it's really exciting, but a lot of times the lender or the person that provides the funding doesn't get to be a participant in that last stage where they actually are opening their business or their new home. And so they kind of get forgotten. Like, well,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for the lender, they would have never got there. So I feel bad that they're not the ones that are getting the big thank yous and the rewarding part of that process. But I know that it's great for you to, be really good and diligent about follow up and checking in and, how things are going if they need to refinance or things like that, always down the line. Right, Noel?
Yeah, it's all, well, I'm very relationship based, so you kind of hit it on the head. I like to be really involved in the process, even though I'm not actually the direct lender. I work with the lenders, but as far as my role goes, I'd love to hear how the whole process is going and if things get completed and, they get to move forward, right? Because not
Yeah,
everybody gets funded. It comes
right.
down to a lot of different things. There's a lot of different variables that apply to somebody getting money.
Speaking of that, so is there sort of like, how things kind of go in waves? Like, is there sort of a common thing that you're dealing with many clients that may be coming up for lending that may be obstacles or?
Yeah, I feel like the space has really changed in the last probably this year. And I don't think anybody could really pinpoint why it's changed. People speculate tariffs and things like that, but it has been a lot harder to get funded. Um, so we do the best that we can to help people. It does come down to credit a lot and experience, especially in the real estate investing side. When it comes to somebody getting money to purchase a home, if you're purchasing it for you personally, that's a little bit of a different situation. But if you are purchasing it to flip it or a rental property or it's going to be your business, then there's a lot of due diligence that goes into that.
What
Yeah.
types what types of lending are there? I mean, we've heard the expression before, hard money or this, that, or the other. So what are the different types that people can expect to see here and maybe talk about?
Yeah. So hard money and private money are a lot alike, right? Hard money is probably a little bit easier to get. Private money, I think it kind of think of it more of as like a partnership with that person. And maybe you can't expect higher amounts, right? Hard money, you can expect like millions. Um,
And
then
hard
there's,
money, sorry to
go ahead.
cut you off, but hard money, can we define that? That's collateral, right?
Um, Most people want collateral. You
Mhm.
can use the property as collateral. Then there's gap, which they'll say absolutely not. They want something outside of the property as collateral. Just because a lot of people have been burned. So you can use the property as collateral. Some people are looking for like I've heard of stocks, whatever you have, but you'll have to prove that, right? Um, but
So
hard money comes down to credit score, experience. Big thing is experience. If you've proven that you've done this before, then they're willing to give you, obviously hand over the funds.
as far as credit goes, there's two different types of credit, and Lisa, both you and Noel can speak to this. But we have our credit that we get used with our credit cards and stuff like that. But then there's also a VICO, right? And that's different, and that's typically what the lenders are looking at, a VICO, not necessarily your credit score. Is that right? Is that wrong?
Or they look
FICO
at both.
score?
Yeah, the business. Are you talking about a business FICO score, Barry, for your business or
No, I'm
corporation?
talking
Or
about when you're just buying a house.
oh, the FICO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Personal.
that's different than what my credit score would be from Experian in regards to my credit cards and stuff like that, right? Or is
All
it the
the
same?
same?
Is it
No,
all
it's
the
all the
same?
same. Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
personal credit score, there are business credit scores as well, right? And that's a
Right.
little bit different. So those usually come with your LLC, and those numbers are different too. So like a high business credit score, I believe, is like 100, whereas your
Uh-huh.
personal credit score, a high one would be in the 800s. So
Right.
there's a little bit of a difference there. Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm sitting at 810.
Wow, the 800 club, that's what I call you guys.
Oh,
Yeah, you should
nice.
brag about that
But I
one.
know I'm
Yeah,
going to
that's
take a
that's a good
hit
club to
next.
be in.
I know I'm going to take a hit next month. I'm probably dropping to the mid sevens because I just spent a lot of money in a move, and it's going to show up this month. So,
Yep, those
but
bills and
that's
that's
it's just temporary. It's just a temporary. Still
yeah.
700, I think is pretty good.
So you got
So
hard money. So what application would you use hard money for? Would it be like a flip property?
But hard money is great for flips, right? They're looking for that fast turnaround.
Not keeping the
So
loan for very long.
exactly. So a lot of times people will come to me, "Hi, I'm looking to purchase a home. Okay, great. What are you wanting to do with it?" "Well, I want to buy and hold." Okay,
Yeah.
well, hard money might not be the
Yeah.
best, right? They're looking for their return and fast.
Yes.
So fix and flips are really, really good for hard money, private money. Um,
What are those rates at?
Gosh, it depends, right? It just depends on your credit score, it depends on your experience, it depends on a lot of different variables, it depends on the numbers. So like get that question a lot and it's like I can't really give you a number and I know people hate that answer because they're like,
Yeah.
"Can you just give me an estimate?" I'm like, "I really don't want to give you throw out anything, right? Let's go through the process. If it works, then great. If not, then we'll try to pivot and shift and find another route. But let's see what we can get you." That's usually what I like to tell people.
hey, Lisa,
Yeah.
I noticed she used our favorite word, pivot.
Yeah,
Pivot and shift.
yes, exactly. Well, that's a great response, Noel, because it keeps them interested in finding out the answer that you can provide them or the solution that you can
Right.
give them. So I think that probably works well. I
Yeah.
I used hard money for a couple flip properties about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And gosh, I think I want to say it was around 12%.
Ooh,
So
that's low. That's good.
yeah,
I'll
I
say
think you
it's a
got to
lot
give them,
higher now, maybe upwards of 15. But again, I've been quoted as low as 10. But
okay,
I feel like that's for people who have years and years and years of experience. Like you're coming in an
getting the
expert.
best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
So,
this something that
yeah,
builders would use too, hard money, like if they're going to build a division, or do they
absolutely.
get something completely different?
Yeah, absolutely. Hard money, private money. Uh-huh. Anything that's going to sell, right? I would say the only thing that hard money, private money doesn't work for is people who want to buy and hold. Because it's like, okay, well, when are we going to get our money back?
Yeah.
Even if
Yeah.
you're planning on renting out the property, that's not going to pay off the chunk, right? So, definitely for builders, fix and flips, anything that you're going to be able to have a quick turnaround on.
Gotcha. Okay. And then so everyone else would like if I'm just going to go out and buy a house for myself, then that's where just a mortgage company is going to come in and deal with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is where there are other, you can kind of pivot and shift. There are other opportunities to get funding, like 0% interest business funding. But that is a little bit different. And so when I talk to people who are desperate to get started and they're like, I just can't figure it out. No one's willing to give me anything. Then I say, okay, well, let's look at 0%. It does come on credit cards, but you can liquidate those, but you can get higher amounts of funding. And then that's when your credit score comes into play. So then if we have to, we'll do credit repair and we'll work on that. We're very stringent on what your score, not necessarily the number, because Barry, you're in the 800 club, but maybe you have too many hard inquiries or you have a collections, whatever, I'm just throwing things out there.
Right.
So banks are looking at, also utilization. So we really work on those things. And then once your credit is good to go, we move into applying for business credit cards at that 0% interest.
Now, I know we talked about, personal credit, but then we also talked about business credit and we talked about, LLCs and also EIN, right? And so the EIN and then the LLC kind of separates the individual from the company. And now they're two different entities. So you personally can have your own credit and then the company can have that. Let's talk about that for a minute. How do you,
Yeah, I get this question a lot about the business credit.
right.
So when they think that when I bring up credit score, they're thinking I'm talking about their business credit score, and I'm not. I'm talking about their personal. So the great thing about 0% interest business funding is that we utilize your personal, we'll fix your personal, but it won't affect it at all. So I tell people this, and I don't recommend this at all, but you can actually you can get business funding under your LLC, and if worse comes to worse, you can bankrupt your LLC and it will not affect your personal credit score in the least, and you
Yeah,
can start over. So you can just
let's
kind of rinse and repeat.
let's not put that out there.
Well, I mean, I'm emphasizing that getting funding under your LLC will not affect your personal credit score. I mean, it
Not your
happens,
personal
right?
credit card. It's going to affect other
Yeah.
things though, right? So,
Well, it will
even
affect your business,
yes.
but
And
the big thing is that it won't affect your personal, which that's usually what everybody in life is utilizing, right? Or they're dependent on for that being higher.
definitely the sole proprietors, the partnerships, moving into the LLC as we as management consultants suggest to our clientele, LLC or S corp, right?
Hmm.
Either for tax shelters and I don't want to say shelters, but tax breaks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you've mentioned, Elisa, you got anything else that you want to ask on this?
Oh no, I think we're kind of just covering the different types of loans and the clients that she works with. Is there like a favorite client that you have or that you're working with currently, or a good story you want to tell us?
Um, I really enjoy working with them all. I get excited seeing them getting excited that they're going to get funded,
Yeah.
you know. So the where we roll the dice is how much they're going to get funded, right? When it comes to 0%, because it's based off the banks and the credit card companies, we don't know. We got one client 50,000 from Amex alone, right? And then if she wanted to move on, then we'd hit up banks and we start credit card stacking. That's the term that
Credit
gets
card
floated out
stacking.
there.
I try to
Yeah,
stay
credit
away from
cards.
that, at least on the personal side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So,
you're getting credit lines with credit cards for business
mhm,
clients.
correct. Yeah, it goes under their LLC. So now there are people who have businesses, and if you have revenue coming in and a good amount of revenue, we can go after lines of credit. That's a little bit different based off tax returns and your revenue, right? You get a percentage of your revenue. But it's just exciting to see people who are stuck finally get some funds and they get to take that and do what they need to do with it to move forward.
So is there a little bit of financial counseling along those lines? I mean, do you provide that service too?
No,
Uh,
not at all. I don't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
yeah,
No.
you're just like the money maker.
Yeah,
You let it rain.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not in that. So I feel like you have to be maybe even be licensed to give guidance in that way. And I tell them, I said, I'm not an expert in this. I will get you the funds, and then you are off on your merry way to do with with it what you want, you know?
Yeah.
I may give them a little counsel as far as what would be the best type of lending and funding for what they're doing. But again, when I do the 0%, it's because people are stuck. I don't have experience. My credit score is low. Or the big thing is experience.
Yeah.
People will not give you money if you don't have experience. Why would they? So the 0%, you don't need to prove experience. They don't really care about that. All you got to do is have a good credit score and LLC.
Oh,
Gotcha.
cool.
So
Yep.
you mentioned the other thing that you do is credit repair. So I guess that's for the people that are in the 4, 5, and 600s.
Yeah. How long
Yeah.
does it
Well,
fixed?
yeah. So I would say the longest is 90 days. If you're like in the 4 or 500s, you're probably looking at like 90 days. Um, if you're like in the 6, 700s, a month or two. And again, it kind of depends on what you want to do with your credit score. If you just want your credit fixed, we can do that easily all day long, right? If you're wanting business funding, then it's a little bit more meticulous, right? Because again, the banks are very stringent. Um, so, and then it depends on what we're needing to remove in order to fix your credit. So yeah, it just, again, everything varies, right? But
How do you go
there,
about, how do you fix somebody's credit? How do you go about that?
yeah, so we send out letters to the bureaus asking them to remove inquiries. If they've got like derogatories or collections, anything like that, right? So we are in our legal right to ask the bureaus to remove that kind of stuff off of our credit.
That stuff
And
can be
uh,
removed?
absolutely. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and most of the time they'll just say, okay, yes. Maybe it may take a few go arounds. So we send out letters. Um, and maybe they'll say no the first time. And you could do this personally too. We have numbers. You can call Experian yourself and you can ask them, hey, can you take off these inquiries? We had one person call and they took off 9 inquiries just by him calling.
By themselves?
By
Really?
themselves. Yeah. I mean, so you can do it. Now, we've also had people go, I've called 3 times and I've talked to 3 different people and they're being a-holes, you know? And I'm like, well, keep going. You do have to, it's trial and error, right? You just got to keep calling until you find the right person who's like, okay, you know?
Somebody good on the other end of the
Yeah,
phone.
someone,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's just, it can happen. It will happen. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer than somebody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a process.
Yeah. What do you charge for those services?
So for credit repair, we do 1,000. We don't do monthly. I have talked to so many people who are like, I'm on a monthly plan and, they're working on my credit. I'm like, oh, okay. How long have you been at this? Oh, it's been a year. A year?
They're just
Like,
on the
that sounds like a
payroll.
scam.
Yeah. Oh,
Don't,
wow.
there are, don't ever do my recommendation. This is just my opinion. Don't pay monthly because they're in no hurry to fix your credit. Because as soon as they
Oh,
do, then they're cutting off their monthly payments, right?
right.
Even if it costs you a little bit more up front, do it. It's worth it because then, they're going to get it done quicker. So we guarantee between 30 to 90 days, right? Maybe a little bit longer depending if you've got really low credit score. But in that time frame that we should be able to fix your credit.
Do you guarantee points, like a certain amount of points that it will increase?
It usually, well, I mean, yeah, that varies. I've seen people's credit scores jump 100 points, go from the 6 to the 7s. Um, so I would say it's usually a good amount. Yeah, it's not like 5 or 10.
Right.
Usually
That's,
when we clean it up, it jumps significantly.
that's good.
5 or 10's not worth it.
No, oh no, yeah. Something's wrong. Maybe if you're like at 795 and then you get into like 810, yeah, maybe that's worth it. But yeah.
Yikes. Well, for me, and honestly, back in the day, I had really bad credit, right? And it took me some time to really just kind of understand and really how I just started working and building my credit up was I would start using my credit cards, but then I
Mm.
would pay them off except for $5.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
Yeah, yeah.
I would do my grocery shopping and use my Visa card. And then when about a week before my payment was due, I would pay all but $5. And then
Yeah,
that also kept my interest down. I don't know if that
Yes.
still works today, but that's
absolutely.
That's
No,
the rule of thumb, like not to pay completely off, but to always leave a little bit
right.
revolving.
I
Yeah.
yeah. No,
is
that's if there's anything that I could stress to people, especially people who have kids, add you can add your kids even when they're like a baby to your credit score, right? You become an authorized user for them, and so you're actually helping them build their credit. And then by
really.
the time that they're 18, they've got a great credit score. Yeah, so there's ways to go about to actually help your kids so that they're set when they become an adult. And if not, then that's fine. There are ways to help your credit, and you kind of hit it on the head, right? So it's called a good credit mix. And a lot of times, the reason why younger folks don't have a good credit mix is because they don't have one of the big three, which is either a home mortgage, a car loan, or a student debt, right? Those are the big three. You actually want one of those. And then you want a handful of credit cards. But you don't want to abuse the credit cards. Like you said, you want to just kind of throw on there your necessities, your gas, your food, whatever, and pay them off at the end of the month, every single month. Um, and then you actually don't want to close out credit cards either. If you open up a credit card and you pay it off like immediately and you've only had it open for like a handful of months, that's okay. But let's say you open up a credit card and you've had it for years and years and years and you finally get it paid off. You actually don't want to close it out because it will hurt your credit score. So like just throw $10 on there every single month and pay it off every single month, you know?
So should you
That
pay
will
it
help
all
your credit.
off? I've always left like $5 on there. Should you just pay it 100% off or leave the $5?
Well, so your $5 is gaining interest, right?
Well, yeah, for them, they're basically getting interest on five
Yeah.
bucks.
No, I
I
think
think
that
it's
if
good to
you,
like if you're using it, right? You're paying it
yes,
off
if
like
you're,
you're buying
yeah,
$50 in groceries, you're paying the whole thing off. The next month you're doing it again. Constantly
exactly.
using the card and paying it off, it's okay.
Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
like having long
So,
spans of time not using it, and then you're using it and you pay the whole thing off, and it's probably not good because there's not like steady, continuous practices of being a good payer, right?
yep, exactly. Yeah. So if you have a credit card that you've had for a really long time, use it for, buying a cup of coffee, once a month or whatever, lunch, and then pay it off. Yeah.
Very good. So how does, I've had some people in the past ask me, and this was, I'll tell you my advice to them, but I've had some employees that are very, very, very young, and they're interested in starting their credit. They didn't know anything about their parents, getting on their parents, and that part of it. So what I told them, I said, look, here's a quick way to get this done: is go get yourself a secured credit card. You're going to drop down $500, and that's going to be the limit on your credit card. Use that for about 6 months. Pay it off, as it should be. And then normally that credit card after 6 months is then going to release that. And this is now going to become a secured credit card, or from a secured credit card to an unsecured credit card. Now you have credit. And eventually they will start, as you're showing good faith and doing all this, they will increase that credit.
Mhm.
Uh, is that what you would recommend too, or?
That's another option. Absolutely, if that works for you. Um, yeah. I mean, as long as you're just, opening up credit cards and utilizing them and not running up the debt too much and paying it off every month, that's going to help your credit. And there are like I love I personally use Chase. I bank at Chase though, and they've just raised
Mhm.
my limit. Like they'll just continue to raise it just naturally. Like I didn't even aware I'm not even aware of where it is. But then I looked the other day. I think I looked a few months ago and I'm like, wow, I got a high
I,
limit. Citi is
I,
another one too. Citi will just automatically kind of just raise your limit gradually.
I had the same thing. I was sitting at $8,000, and then they just upped it to 20. And I'm like, I call them
Wow.
up, like,
Yeah.
I didn't ask for this. It did
Yeah.
help
Like,
though.
don't
I
do
mean,
that.
because now my credit to
Yeah.
debt ratio changed. So that did help.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a great point. So does that help also, Noel, in the a credit a lender standpoint, if they see that you are getting like high balances, they're not.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's usually a question we'll ask. What are your credit limits? Like, the credit cards that you do have right now, how high are they? Where are they giving you? What are they giving you? And so the higher your limit, usually the more success we'll have getting you business funding, right? Higher amounts of business funding. So one thing we will have people do is, okay, call your credit card and ask for higher limits.
Yep.
And some credit cards, just you want to ask, will this be a hard pull or will this be a soft pull, right? We don't want hard pulls. We want soft pulls that won't affect your credit. And then a lot of times they'll do it. They'll do it for you. They'll just naturally raise your limit.
That brings up a question. Can you explain the difference between a hard hit and a soft hit on your credit when people go in and check, oh, there's going to be a hard hit or it's going to be a soft hit? What's the
Yeah.
difference? And I know that on hard hits, you take a ding, maybe 10,
Mhm.
15 points, 20 points, but what's the difference between those and why?
Yeah, so a hard inquiry or a hard hit is it will show up on your credit, right? That's an inquiry. That's a hard pull. Those are things that we're usually getting removed. You want a soft pull, that's not going to show up on your credit. It's not going to affect your credit either. So a lot of times too, when we're talking to people, and let's say someone wants to purchase a car, they go into a dealership, that dealership is going to do whatever they can to get you credit, right? Or to get you financing. And so what they'll just run your credit over and over and over again. So all of a sudden you'll maybe have like 5 or 6 hits on your credit score and you're like, what happened? So a lot of times the best way to do that is get the approvals first, then go to a dealership and say, hey, I have this much money. I got approved from Chase or whoever, and then, purchase your car so that you're not getting hit a bunch of different times from these companies who are doing all these hard pulls. They don't care, right? And a lot of people are not even educated. I wasn't, you know, that these people are doing hard pulls like that.
Will Chase or your bank give you a letter of this is your credit limit or something like that so that you can hand to them? Or you think the dealer's just going to take your word for it?
I'm sure that there's probably some sort of proof. I've actually never been on that side of it, but I'm
Hmm.
sure that, yeah, there's probably some sort of physical proof. I've been approved by this, institution for this much money.
Right.
What can I get for it?
Yeah. You always hear the stories about car salesmen. So, you got to sit there and make sure you got all your T's crossed and your I's
Yeah,
dotted.
they're desperate, right? They're like, I gotta make this sale. We're gonna
You
get this
know,
person financed no matter what.
when it comes time to buying a car, take my wife Tammy, man. I take her with me. I mean, she's not a, a social person, not a social person, but she doesn't like confrontation or anything like that. But she loves a haggle.
Oh,
Mm,
she'll she'll go
good
into
negotiator.
yes, she is. We went in to buy her Mini Cooper and we spent like 2 hours in there and stuff like that, and they said okay it's going to be this, and Tammy's like really, okay, well I'm only going to pay this. Oh, okay, well we can't do that. Okay, bye, see you. And they're like, well, wait, maybe we can get it down a little bit. So
yeah.
we stayed for another 15 minutes. They got it down but only like 20% of what she was willing. So we walked out. Next day they called us up, hey, if you want it you can have it.
Wow.
That easy, huh?
But yeah, and then
Right.
we've gone on cruises down to Mexico, and she's just there haggling away, and I'm like, "Is this the woman I married?" Because this is not her personality whatsoever at all. But
Where's
man,
this
she
coming
gets
from?
she gets in her little rhythm there, and is just like, "Wow, I'm going to step back and just watch the action happen."
That is great. That's a skill.
So anytime I buy a car, like but the car I bought now here, right? We went together, and at that point, I let her take over negotiations because it was easy for me, and she got me the best deal.
I
Wow.
went shopping for my car recently with the owner of car dealerships. I think we had him on our podcast, interviewed him
Yes.
very a few months back, and that was very insightful because he knew the lingo and the tricks of the trade, and I got a really good deal thanks to him. But it's just so much that you don't know.
Wow.
You know,
That's
That
I
they are,
excellent.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
it's
I
very
wish I would known him when we bought my Sonata, right? But I got a great deal. I mean, it's financed, but we're only paying $217 a month in a car payment. You know, Everyone
nice.
else I know is paying like four, 500, $600 a month.
Yeah. That's the other thing too about making sure that your credit score is good. That helps in interest payments, not just in investing, right? But also in lower interest rates for buying a car or anything or health insurance, it really does come in handy.
Yeah. Well, Noel, thank you so much for joining Lisa and myself and the Biz Show today and the podcast. It's very
So
informative.
how would our audience find you, Noel? Is there a name of your company? Do you work alongside some partners or?
Yeah, so I have several different colleagues that I work with. So the best would be just to reach out to me personally. So I don't my name is Noel Kachaturian. I'm on Instagram. You can find me there. Um, I'm more than happy to share my email. It's just again my name, noelkachaturian@gmail.com. And I'm
If
happy to share my number as well.
Send me over all that contact information and I will put it in the link. Now we
Advertise?
are syndicated, so this is going to go out all over the place.
Yeah, I think definitely we need to bring people to her and all those people that want their credit score increased before they do go out loan shopping. I mean, definitely Noel will send some people your way. And
Awesome.
it's just a pleasure getting to know you better today on the podcast. So
Yeah,
happy
thank you.
Friday and
Happy Friday. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure getting to know you guys. Happy to be here and yeah, excited to work together. Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking
good.
forward to maybe working a few deals together. So that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Biz Show. We appreciate it. Lisa, how can they get a hold of us?
They could find us online on Facebook page, Invest Choir, and the Biz Show is all on Facebook. We're also all syndicated, like Barry mentioned earlier, all over Pandora, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. And our show is called The Biz Show, B-I-Z. Thanks, everyone.
BIZ. Yes. All right, guys. You guys have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Biz Show podcast. Subscribe to stay updated and follow Barry and Lisa on Facebook at The Biz Show. Share your comments or suggest specific business topics you'd like to hear.